Welcome back to another Eternal Memories Countdown. Right after I shared my list of the worst games of 2017, I'm now gonna share my list of best games of 2017. To end the lead on a positive note, or, well, since it's a month past 2018, it's a bit late, a lot late, but hey, it's better now than never. So, as mentioned in the worst list, these lists contain of both games I enjoyed on my own, along with those I reviewed for the Seafoam gaming website via review copies, so I'm going to disclose that ahead of time. Some games I've previously reviewed, while others you may hear me talk about for the first time ever even if you read the website. So now let's get started on what I consider to be the best games that 2017 had to offer, and I'm going to do it in a quicker fashion since there's not much to rant or discuss this time. Kicking off this list is a fun action platformer that snuck onto the Switch eShop right before the end of the year. The End is Nigh, a simple yet challenging screen-by-screen platformer that's made by the creators of Super Meat Boy. And I found this game to be a lot of fun, and even more fun than Super Meat Boy. Because of the fact that the digital version is only $15 compared to the retail price, it also makes it a steal to buy in the eShop. It's a solid, tight platformer that controls well. There's some collectibles to find, but it's mostly just getting to the end of each world and finding all the tumors you can, which are hidden in parts of the screen. It's basically an extra challenge, there's nothing really that hidden. The hidden stuff are the extra unlockable 8-bit games, but that's another story. In conclusion, The End is Nigh is just a fun, simple platformer, and on the eShop it's a great steal. You should buy it for the $15 price tag. It is a shame though that this is the 2017 list, not 2018 list, cause a newer game in the same vein as End is Nigh and Meat Boy just came out that's even better than those two games. But we have to wait until next year to discuss it. Or I guess the end of 2018 if I get my schedule right. Intro.to is number 9. It's a fantastic Zelda clone that managed to do many things right for me that Breath of the Wild failed to do, but in a 2D setting. While it's obviously a lot shorter than the new Zelda, it still contains a great open-ended exploration where you can do any dungeons in any order you wish, and they are real dungeons this time around, along with having a lot of secrets and items to discover throughout the overworld and dungeons. So combine that with some very tricky Switch-exclusive puzzle dungeons made specifically for this version of the game, it made this game the best 2D Zelda-like experience I've played in a very, very long time. The only real problem I had with Intro.to came from the lack of boss variety and the fact that the boss order doesn't even change depending on the dungeon you go to, which is a bit jarring. Still, this is a fantastic 2D Zelda clone that I had tons of fun reviewing earlier this year. Now here's a game I'm late to the party on, which I played for the first time ever via the PS4 collection that launched last year. Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reload is a compilation of the first 2 entries in the visual novel franchise, and as someone who's only played a Ultra Despair Girl spin-off for the Seafoam gaming website beforehand, I was surprised at how much better the first game in particular was compared to the spin-off, which was an action game with lots of bears that sound like Takato. But seriously, every little bit about it, from the story, the progression, to the way the trials are set up, it made it suspenseful, well written, and a great adventure that I really think you should do what I did and jump into it completely blind. Which means that that's why you're seeing the funniest moment from the two games on repeat as the first for the segment, because Takato from Digimon Tamers is the main enemy of the series.
No!
I also dabbled into V3 a bit near the end of the year, and I'm still in the process of reviewing that game for the site, but I did play enough of it to feel that I think that for newcomers, Danganronpa 1 and 2 is the best way to go, because it introduced you to 2 great games, and the first game is phenomenal to the point I think it's worth the price of admission alone. In 2016, the Pinball Arcade was on my list of the best games of 2016 because of how well it brought pinball action to the Wii U, especially after Zen Pinball 2 on the Wii U failed to bring most of the tables from the PS4 and other versions over to the Wii U platform. I'm pleased to say that for 2017, Zen Studios, the maker of Zen Pinball 2, redeemed themselves for Nintendo owners, including myself, by giving them the best pinball game out on the market, with Pinball FX3. Being an enhanced version of the addictive Zen pinball games, Pinball FX3 brings most of the tables found from the previous versions of the game and gives them a nice, fancy upgrade, adding in a lot more single-player content in the form of score challenges, unlockable power-ups, and in-game achievements, even on the Switch version. Unfortunately, the Switch does have a setback in terms of the content because it lacks the licensed Disney and Bethesda tables, and the latter's confusing considering how Bethesda games are now on Nintendo platforms and a lot of people are picking them up. So it makes the Switch version not quite as complete as the other ports, but I do consider it to be the best version of the game because you can take it with you anywhere, it has cross-platform leaderboards with any system except the PS4, and I have a feeling that they will at least add other tales in due time and fix the few minor bugs the Switch version has, such as the failure to display the high scores from friends, and also the 30 frames per second support in handheld mode. It's still a phenomenal pinball game, and it's just tons of fun. I strongly recommend that you check out Pinball FX 3 if you haven't already. It is free to start, so you might as well try a table and see how you like it. Now this may come off as a surprise, or not depending on how you feel about this game and the others on this list, but until last month, I considered this title to be the second best game during the entire year 2017. Blaster Master Zero is a sequel to the original NES and Game Boy Color entries, and it takes the fun Metroidvania elements of those titles and adds a ton of cool new stuff to make it the best entry in the series. From a much better story to an outstanding soundtrack that surpasses the original in quality instantly, Blaster Master Zero is a must-have for any Metroidvania fan, and the fact that DLC characters like the guy you see on screen, along with the unlockable modes given through a free patch, add a lot of replay value to this game due to the many playthroughs required for 100%, is a reason that a $10 price tag is an absolute steal for the amount of content you have. Even without the paid DLC, you'll still get 2 bonus difficulty modes and a boss rush after clearing the main game. But there was a better Metroidvania that surpassed this in quality for me, right at the last minute. 2 of them, in fact. Adding another title to the list of 2017 collections that contain games I have never played in the past, Kingdom Hearts 1.5/2.5 HD Remix was a title I wasn't sure if I'd even care for, since a lot of people poke fun at this series for the story being complicated or absurd, and as one of the few odd guys who never even grew up with Disney cartoons save for Disney Channel stuff from the 2000s era, I wasn't really sure if I didn't like the Disney parts of this game because I wasn't sure if I didn't recognize stuff like Sleeping Beauty or Little Mermaid, movies I've never seen even to this day. But when I started with Birth by Sleep, the game that's advertised right here, holy frick was I surprised at how amazing it was. Some people may be disappointed that I went with the timeline order for the playable games, even though I'm gonna go with release order for the movies that are included in both the 1.5 and the 2.5, which is on the right side, because I did get both, even though I only used the second disc in order to play the sequel to Birth by Sleep 0.2, which is the Kingdom Hearts 3 prologue. And yes, I decided to start with that after beating Birth by Sleep and getting the secret episode on normal difficulty. It means I basically had to beat more enemies than I could even count. And of course, I beat the prologue as I said before, right afterwards, and since I picked it up on a sale, I figured that 2.8 wasn't that bad of a deal, and they'll tide me over for when I finally reach Dream Drop distance and however long it takes for me to beat this game. Right now I'm on Kingdom Hearts 1, and then I'm gonna go into the timeline order from there, which would be Chain and then 2, which really is also released on now that I think about it. But needless to say, I think Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 is a fantastic starting point for newcomers like myself to the franchise, and I can easily recommend this to fans of action RPGs. Birth by Sleep alone was what basically made me get invested into the series, and now I'm hooked and eager for the third game, and I think it's gonna come out by the time I get done with the others, so I'm not necessarily waiting too long compared to the other Kingdom Hearts fans. Adding to the list of amazing Metroidvania games that launched in 2017, Alwa's Awakening is the only Steam exclusive title on this list, and it deserves the number 4 spot as it's a faithful tribute to the NES games of old, similar to Retro City Rampage. Instead of just using pixel art for the sake of budget or cheaping out or being generic, it's actually well designed and a faithful tribute that's accurate to the NES era. And like Blaster Master Zero, it also gives you a lot more fun with sequence breaking, and if you think outside the box, you can sequence break or go in certain places earlier than expected, or just have fun with the items and power-ups in general. It encourages that you think outside the box, and the superior level design of this game makes this game a lot more balanced and enjoyable than Zero, because of the fact that the actual world is connected and it's not just several areas anymore like in Zero. But despite how fun this game is with clever puzzles, enjoyable exploration, a fantastic soundtrack, and just a great old relaxing time to enjoy, there's yet another Metroidvania that tops even this gem of a game. Now this is to be expected. Since Breath of the Wild ended up on the honorable mentions to the worst of 2017 list and is often considered a sister game to what's coming up next, this game was nowhere in sight on that list. And yes, that means that I do think that Mario Odyssey is one of the best games of 2017. This game, in my opinion, is the best 3D Mario that I've played since Galaxy 2, which is actually the last 3D Mario now that I think about it. But still, it's really good. It's just a solid, legendary 3D Mario adventure, and there's lots of cool possibilities for finding the hundreds of power moons scattered across the game. The ironic part about this game is that the power moons are often compared to the Korok seeds from Breath of the Wild, and I mentioned how much I hate those because of how they're basically artificial padding, they do the same things over and over again. But in Mario Odyssey, a lot of moons are different, and the ones that do recycle the same concepts don't feel exactly the same. The ones that do are like few and far between. Sure, there's still a ton that basically require you to do nothing but ground pound a specific spot, but at least those are easily marked on the map, unlike the Korok seeds, which you still have to find on your own or with a guide. And for the most part, I find the moons in Mario Odyssey to be nothing like the filler garbage from Breath of the Wild. The fact that there are also a ton of hidden costumes to buy and purple coins to collect to buy them also show that this game just has a lot more to it than just collecting moons. I honestly have been going through this game very slowly as I work towards 100% because I just don't want it to end. It's so much fun, the balloon update's coming in February, and yeah, this is a great Mario game, one of the best Switch games, a Switch exclusive unlike Breath of the Wild, and this is the one game I do think that's worth buying a Switch over. And speaking of games I never wanted to end, SteamWorld Dig 2 is another one of them. This was the Metroidvania I was referring to when I mentioned how it came completely out of left field. Sure, I got the game for review last September when everyone else did, but after playing it for 30 minutes, I just assumed it would be like the first game from what I've been played of it, as a fun, addicting adventure that wouldn't quite have as much depth to it as other Metroidvanias. So I pushed back on my review and put it along with the other B tier Metroidvanias that come out in 2017, such as Mummy Demastered and Mystic Bell. Big mistake on my part, as when I came back to give it another hour or so to play for my review, that 1 hour turned into 12 over the course of a week, and it far surpassed my expectations. Ditching the randomized nature of the first game in favor for one that's consistent from beginning to end, SteamWorld Dig 2 just feels so fluid and almost near perfect. After the initial segment I played for the gameplay video, the game quickly opens up. Since as you gradually find more items and equipment to upgrade, you'll be able to think of your own solutions to the game's tasks and puzzle rooms. In no time at all, some aha moments led me to sequence break parts of the game where I went to a part with more valuable ore, doing absolutely everything I could in that section of the caves in order to upgrade my equipment before I progressed the story. By the time I actually did bother to progress the story where I went into a temple, I realized the temple I was supposed to go to way earlier was a piece of cake because of the way I sequence break the game, and combine that with more shenanigans I messed around with and how much freedom SteamWorld Dig 2 allows you to explore, SteamWorld Dig 2 quickly became the perfect game to 100% for me. I don't have all the PS4 trophies just yet, but I did 100% all the items in the game, and this was just one adventure I really fell in love with, and I will play again and again for years to come. I was just gonna say that Blastmaster Z was the best Metroidvania and something that everyone should buy, and while that's still a great game, the sheer freedom of SteamWorld Dig 2 and the enjoyment of Always Awakening make those games better Metroidvanias, and this game the second best game of 2017 for me. Please, if you haven't already, I encourage you to purchase the game ASAP. Just don't do it on Switch if you can, cause that portability comes at the sacrifice of the game's achievement system, and I felt that some of the achievements were great motivators for me to challenge myself in the PS4 version. The Switch version is great for a double dip playthrough, but not for a primary one in my opinion, let alone if you're a completionist. And just like on the worst games 2017 list, we have a few titles here that did not make it onto the list, but in the case the best list, I still enjoy these games enough to the point I will recommend them without putting them on the list. The first game I bought that really surprised me was Lily Child of Geos from Limited One Games. This came out in 2017, so it still counts as a 2017 release. And I'm glad I bought this on impulse because I found it very charming and relaxing. It was a very good game to spend a few days on just relax with. And it's an RPG that's very, very bare bones. You don't even do much fighting in this game. You just hunt down spirits in the hide and seek manner and pick their flowers to kill them. Or at least weaken them by the game standards. And help villagers with their problems and save the town from a mean mayor. It doesn't have much of a story or really much at all, and I actually tried to record the gameplay video series for this game, because I thought I was so sure I could actually record it all, but when the parts got corrupted, so now I have so much footage of this game I don't know what to use, so there you go. This game is a lot of fun, it's relaxing, and I think it's better to look at on the PS4 version, because getting the PC version is not good at this point, because from what I gathered, they don't really update it anymore. Well, this version just came out last year and is up to date. It's also an easy platinum for platinum trophy hunters. The second game is one I never thought I'd put on this list, but it's none other than Night Trap, the 25th Anniversary Edition. A remake of one of the most infamous games of all time, yet somehow managed to hook me with how much fun it was. Seriously, despite being an FMV game that people were so mad about back in the day, the controls and timing of the story just worked so well, and despite some initial struggles without a guide, I did manage to beat the entire game without one, before losing one for the perfect ending, because let's not kid ourselves, as fun as this game is due to the craziness that unfolds, the funniness, the story, and the whole addictiveness, the trapping mechanics, trying to get a perfect score without a guide and without being distracted by the crazy story is next to impossible, due to the split-second timing it requires for specific traps in the story. Still, this is a quirky game, and I do think you should check it out if you've ever been remotely curious in this game. I do think it's way better than most FMV trash that did come out back in the day, and I'm glad this game got the chance to be remade for the modern era instead of something like the basketball Sega CD games.
I didn't think so. Bye, see you next time.
And last but not least in the honorable mentions is Fire Emblem Echoes, Trials of Valentia. This surprised me because I thought Fire Emblem Fates was okay, and people from hate groups were all nuts about the translation of that game, and of course decided to be pricks because of it, I mostly didn't like it because it just felt boring and generic, and it didn't really click with me like Awakening did. Awakening was very solid and just fun. But I wanted some more that was as fun as the Game Boy Advance games, and I also was really interested in playing Gaiden because that seemed like a very cool game with cool ideas, and the best of both worlds happened. It got remade, the battle system is fantastic, it's basically, in my opinion, the best modern Fire Emblem, and the best Fire Emblem on the 3DS. So it's a really good game, it's a great remake. It remakes a lot of great songs that I found enjoyable when they cameoed in other games, and the soundtrack's good, the characters are good, the story's well written, and my only real problem with it is just a me problem, and that's that I got stuck on chapter 4 and can't beat the game, even though I want to because the game's so amazing and I want to finish. Oh, and the DLC is super expensive and stupid, but at least that's optional. Maybe not if you play on hard difficulty like me. Either way, Fire Emblem Echoes is a great game and I strongly recommend that you do buy it. And now, to present the one, the only, Game of the Year for Seafoam Gaming in 2017. A game I technically played in 2016, but that was only in a compromised state. Now that I've played the true definitive version in English, I think Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon has something that's very, very close to beating it as my all-time favorite game. Ys 8, La Cosima of Donna, which is for the PS4 and Vita, and it's a sequel to the Ys series that I really love. I always enjoy Ys games, and when I imported this on the Vita way back in 2016, I thought it was a good game, but it had frame rate problems because of the state the game was released in, because it's a PS4 down port, and the frame rate, even though the game was still phenomenal and fantastic, the frame rate still made it not quite as perfect as it could have been. But I was happy to pre-order the limited edition of Ys 8 on PS4 right away, and as soon as it arrived and I played it, I was not disappointed, except with one minor detail I'm going to get to in a bit. This game is just a fantastic action RPG. The controls are good, the story is great, and for the most part, the game just feels like what Breath of the Wild should have been in the first place to me, and it technically came out a bit before Breath of the Wild. It's just an action RPG that allows for a decent amount of exploration, and it's like a Metroidvania in the sense that areas open up and you can revisit them, so it's a mix of Zelda elements and action RPG elements, and it's just a lot of fun. The trophies are fun to collect, and the game's just, well, outstanding. I can't really say much outside the fact the background music that you're listening to right now is from the game, and it's godlike, which is pretty much what Falcom games are known for, godlike music. It's just so hard to describe in words, but the 60 FPS in the PS4 version just makes this game so much more enjoyable to play over the Vita version. The Vita version is now absolute garbage unless you play in handheld mode, but if you're on the PS TV like me, there's no contest. The PS4 version's the way to go. And believe it or not, right before I record this video, I was gonna mention how I wish this was ported on the Nintendo Switch because it's a game everyone needs to play, and even though I think NIS America's doing a better job at marketing this game to the general audience than Xseed would have, there's still some problems that that company has done that made this game a bit of a, well, rough start in the West. For one thing, this game's literally game of the year quality for me, that's why it's number 1 on this list. There's a translation problem where some things are just translate funny or incorrect. People are overblowing it in my opinion. It's not the worst translation job I've seen in the game, let alone the worst localization job. I've seen lots of cheesy and lame translations in the past, and don't even get me started on how East Book 1 2 on the TurboGrafx got half the character names wrong. But like in the case of East 8, I can still understand what the story is, the game still lets me know where to go, and it's still decent English translation, even if it's not AAA tier. My only problem with the translation is that some items are not accurately described, and this really bugs me, because sometimes it just makes items that I want to use to heal myself not actually do what it says, or the effects of some equipment items aren't made clear. There is a patch coming next week as I'm filming this episode that will fix the localization problems and give it a more higher quality script, but people are doubting if it's going to be high quality or not, and knowing the internet, I have a bad feeling people are going to complain even if it's okay. I thought the original translation was fine, but I did think the description on some items need to be fixed, and now that that's being fixed, I think this game is not in the worst spot it was when it was at launch. But even then, it was still a phenomenal game. The game played perfectly fine. Unless you're on PC. Because the PC version got delayed at the last minute, and people on PC can't even play the game of the year. I'm talking about right now because it got delayed beyond what Xseed would have released it in. Well, actually, no, a PC port didn't exist, so I guess Xseed would still take longer to release a PC version. But at least their PC version would more likely be, well, more polished than what's to come out of the beta. From what people have gathered about the PC beta, the game goes to 8 frames per second, lots of stuff doesn't even work right, the game's just a buggy mess, and they just threw the PS4 code at a PC and hoped it would work. So the fact it got delayed multiple times and it's now delayed till to be determined just means that the PC version of East 8 is in indefinite limbo. So if I want to, I could use the PS4 and the Switch version, because there's a Switch version coming out too that I plan to pick up because it's an amazing game if it's in 60 frames per second, but it's based on the PS4 version. I'm gushing about this game but also ranting at the same time because there's some problems that people do need to know about, but outside those, it's still one of my all-time favorite games now, and it's a game I strongly recommend you do pick up. Especially on Switch. I think the Switch version is going to be the one to wait for because they'll probably have all the achievements from the other versions if previous NIS ports are anything to take note of. So I think for the most part the East 8 on Switch is the way to go, as long as it's not like the PC version which is in indefinite limbo and technically in hell, but hey, I'm willing to give it a chance, even though the PC version I don't think will be safe at this point, because I think the Switch version is going to lead to a lot of good things to come in the future from Falcom, for Falcom fans. So that's why I think East 8 is an amazing game and you should pick it up right away. And if my gushing didn't help, well, just look at the game for yourself and buy it on the Switch. If you have a Switch, wait for the Switch version. If you only have a PS4, buy on the PS4. If you have a PC, oh, don't even bother. Just wait until it comes out if you dare, but it will probably take forever, so just buy on the PS4 or buy on the Switch. If you don't want to wait though, PS4 is the way to go. The Vita version is the absolute worst because it doesn't even have all the content that the deluxe version of the PS4 and PC and the Switch will have, so it's really only good for handheld play, but now that the Switch version's out, there's no point for even the Vita version to exist. And there you have it, we finally finished off the best of 2017 list. Just as the second month of 2018 is about to start. Yeah, I'm a bit late, but now that the countdowns are over, it's finally back to enter my memory world as we return to the place where Eternal Memories all began, with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, my retrospective. Stay tuned for part 3.5 of the retrospective, where I tackle the post-game to Red Rescue Team, something that I was never able to beat as a kid until just recently. I'll see you on the next episode, and thanks for watching. Bye!